Hello and welcome everyone, it is me, the Laval, also known as to do back for you in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel on something that was supposed to be an episode of Morphtronics and Master Duel Rank, but I've kinda impromptu turned into deck profile because I really wanted to do some catching up with the theory on the deck list, even if, it's been out there for like a couple of weeks by now, but really gives insight and gives this proper deck profile about it. We'll take a look at a replay later, but if you want more replays, there's of course going to be videos of that on my channel. I'll try to link the most recent one down in the description, but get like a more in idea of how the deck actually plays. But I'll try to explain a good couple of things as we go through the list. Starting at the top here with a very cool card that I'm a huge fan of in Morphtronic, Saffron. This guy, while in attack position, allows you to roll a 6-sided die, reveal cards from the top of your deck equal to that die result, and then you're able to special summon a level 4 or lower Morphtronic that you excavated, ignoring summoning conditions. Great way to amass additional board presence. One of the main ways the deck used to combo, and still highly impactful even in modern day, especially if you're trying to make synchros, because this guy just gives you access to a wider, can give you access to a wider variety of monsters. Very important. Moving down the tech tree here, the next step in evolution is Morphtronic Smartphone, a special summonable level 1 tuner that you can special summon from your hand by banishing a Morphtronic from your grave. Similar to Saffron previously, the attack position effect rolls a die, reveals cards from the top of your deck, but unlike Saffron, you're not special summoning a level 4 low Morphtronic, you're adding any Morphtronic card, which is quite powerful. It gives you access to, specific names when you need those, but also powerful archetypal extenders like a Morphtronic Converter and Morphtronic Repair unit that you can see down here, and we'll talk about later. And then next in line, necessarily a technological upgrade going from a smartphone to a telephone. It's maybe a bit of a step back, but this war criminal doesn't need a whole lot of introductions, kind of famous for that whole telephone loop that a lot of more link-based variants of this deck do take heavy advantage of, because if you have one on the field, one in the grave, you could just use the one on field, revive the one in grave, and then, keep the whole thing going while you can link it off, of course. Main thing I'm doing with this, and what probably a lot of other synchro variants are doing, is using this as a either substitute or something that, similar to a card like Machine Duplication, allows you to get multiple Saffron triggers in a turn. But Telephone, of course, since you can also revive a monster that is higher than level 1 if you roll high enough on the die roll, is able to bring back cards like Morphtronic Remoten, which is another great piece of this deck. Remoten in attack position allows you to target a Morphtronic in your grave and banish it, and if you do, you add on the Morphtronic with the same level as the target from your deck to your hand, which I think is very important, guaranteed searching. Like, the deck does not really do a whole lot of that, which is why I'm a huge fan of Remoten at 3. Not only is the level pretty nice, especially in Master Duel, since you can still go into powerful generic 10s like Baron the Fleur, but, just having that search power, getting to specific names when you need them, to, either put those on the board off of like a repay unit, is very nice and also rather important. Also non-engine in between here. We have 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. The deck does spin its wheels quite a while before it actually puts something on the board that resembles an interaction. So getting Max Seed isn't great. Max Seed is an incredibly ubiquitous card in Master Duel due to, it being legal at 3 here, which we do not take kindly to. And Ash is just a good way to, catch that. Also a fairly useful hand trap to just have in the deck, but the main application of this in this deck specifically is to blank an opponent. See. This deck is capable of decking an opponent out if you get Max Seed and if you have like enough gas. Something that's probably a lot easier if you're running Machine Duplication, so that's maybe like a consideration you want to take. But this list has just been working very well for me. So yeah, Ash, great card to have. Also good hand trap to have in like a multitude of matchups. But mainly here's something that keeps the cockroaches out of the kitchen. Then we have 3 copies of Gadget Gamer, what's probably objectively by now the deck's best normal summon nowadays. Because on normal summon, this allows you to add any level 1 machine from your deck to your hand, and with 3 very central ones in the archetype, that's a very handy effect to have. And the second effect allows you to distribute itself, special aim Morphtronic from your hand, and then special summon a Gadget Hauler pick here from your hand or deck. paid attention, you'll notice that Telephone is a level 1 tuner. So, you know, putting a Telephone and a Gadget Hauler on the field here gives you immediate level 7 synchro access to something like a Power Tool Dragon, which is also a card I'm a huge fan of. But probably something that you also want to take a look at because it is an easy way to add like a Morphtronic Reaper unit. Quite a nice extender to get your hands on. Something else about the Gadget Gamer is like that it makes Telephone's defense position effect kind of neat, as you're also able to roll a die, look at the top cards of your deck, and then bin a Morphtronic card from those, send to graveyard, and then stack the rest back on top or bottom in any order, which can be kind of cute on some occasions, especially smartphone. But yeah, the Gadget Hauler doesn't really do a whole lot. There's some cases where you can actually discard a Morphtronic for the effect, but in a lot of cases that won't come up. Likely will be retaining that Morphtronic to discard off of later. Something I've personally become a huge fan of is this like small package of 2 React and 1 Redox. Reactant gives you a good way to access easy level 7 bodies for plays with the deck having level 1 and level 3 tuners. You can make use of some very powerful synchro pools, be it the level 8 pool for something. I'm running Draco Berserker and an Assault Synchro Stardust Dragon down here, but also the 10s. Baron the Fleur still Liga here, and Cheng Ying is also far from a pushover. Redox is also not bad to draw. It's either Monster Reborn or you just put them on the board from your hand. The deck does put more than enough Earths into the graveyard to get that live. With a small cash tier package here of like a Fenrir and an Ogre. These are here either because they're free 7 bodies or because they're just big idiots that special summon themselves, helping the deck kind of play into boards going second. Because sometimes you can just stick one of these right for an opponent's action. It's just nice to have. Then we have something in Feather Duster that's similar to Ash. You can kind of chalk up to a Master Duel tax in a best of 1 format where you really don't know what you'll be facing. Having a blanket just like back row wipe is nice, especially when a good couple of people are running stun on ladder, be it runic based or not. 1 for 1 makes for a great additional consistency piece, getting you to, you know, the powerful level 1s like Southorn and Telephone that you'll most likely be using for your combos. And then something I've become a huge fan of as well, 3 Converter. Not that, you know, decks, Morphtronic decks don't usually run Converter, but 3 is the more uncommon thing here. You can definitely make do with 2. I think 2 is a perfectly fine ratio. I've personally just been a huge fan of 3 because that way I see it more consistently, I reveal it more consistently, and it is a great way to get a Gadget Gamer off the board if it gets imperm, because this allows you to target a machine on your field, and depending on the monster's battle position, you apply one of the following effects. Was an attack position, you special a Morphtronic from your deck with a different name than your initial target, put the initial target back on top. Also some cute applications as it allows you to kind of toolbox into whatever Morphtronic you need at a specific point in a combo. But also if you have a Morphtronic on the field that isn't Southorn, that has just used its effect, you can easily put a Southorn on the board, then bring the Morphtronic back essentially from the top of your deck, because guaranteed it is right there, it is on the top. Of course, also something that applies if you have Southorn on grave and can tag into Telephone. So Converter is kind of great for that. The defense position effect is also kind of neat. You swap that target to attack position, and then you summon a ball or machine from your hand. Can be a cute piece of extension, but in most cases you'll be using the attack position. Like with many of the Morphtronics, which is a theme, I guess. For the Braver equips, we're running the, I guess, standard lineup in a Metal Silver Armor, Super Magic Sword of Reptinus, and a Life Extreme Reptinus. And Metal Silver Armor formed this targeting lock, preventing your opponent from targeting monsters on the field and graveyard with card effects, which can be kind of huge. Reptinus by itself already making the Braver Dragon untargetable kind of neat as well. And Life Extreme makes the Braver that bit harder to run over, because an opponent's monster losing 1500 attack points is a fairly sizable chunk. Also neat part about this is that if a monster's battle position is changed, you can target a card on the field and destroy it, meaning since a Braver can choose between negating a monster's effects after targeting it or swapping that monster's battle position, you can kind of use this as like a quick effect pop at home if you want, which is very handy. 2 Corp by the Graves here, as mentioned earlier, the deck really doesn't like hand traps, and Master Duel giving you the option to run the 2nd Corp by is a very welcome addition in my opinion. And capping off the main deck, a card that has been putting in a ton of work lately for me is Forbidden Droplet. The deck plays very well with the graveyard, and this is also like a good way to get like additional cards out of your hand you might not need for your combo. mainly the braver equips, to turn those into easy ways to get opponents' monsters negated if you're playing into a board, but because this is good going first, if you saw it as like an additional layer of disruption, very handy indeed. Moving down here to the extra deck, we have a Morphtronic card, which is very nice. Morphtronic Earphone, a level 4 synchro that if summoned can turn a monster into a tuner, which can lead to some funnies like Tuner Apollosa, even if that does nothing. But also easily turn like a non-tuner Morphtronic, mainly a Southbound, into like a level better into a Naturia Beast. Earphone also has the nice effect that it is able to equip itself to a synchro monster on your field from field or graveyard, meaning this is kind of just a repeatable equip you could equip to your Braver Dragon, meaning you do not necessarily have to part ways with one of the 3 equips that actually give you a, greater benefit than attacking 2 monsters a turn, which you want to keep around you. Naturia Beast is one of the deck's better endboard pieces. IO, if it was a dog, is still a very powerful card. So yeah, moving on to the previously discussed Power to Dragon. This is mainly here to grab Morphtronic Repair Unit, which I think I skipped over previously. This is an extender that sends a Morphtronic from your hand to the graveyard and then targets a Morphtronic in your grave to summon it, equip itself to that card. Very potent extender, takes leftover Morphtronics out of your hand and either puts them on the board because you can indeed target the same monster you discarded. You just need a legal target before that to activate Repair Unit at first. And Power to Dragon being able to reveal 3 equips and add the Repair Unit, kind of guaranteed if you haven't drawn one before, is very handy, easily made off of a gamer. Then we have a Draco Berserker here. This was my choice for like a generic end board 8 in this slot. You can play, a Scarlet Red Dragon, Archfiend, whatever generic 8 you find. But I like Draco Berserker specifically because it has applications go first. Because the banish effect, if your opponent activates a monster, good piece of disruption. And it's also just a big hit hard idiot if you're playing into a board, which is something that I think Scarlet is more of a going second option. So I went with Draco Berserker. Excelsior Crusaders makes for a great extender, especially if you're trying to make power to a Braver Dragon, which I'm a huge fan of. Reviving a level 1 or lower tuner from your graveyard is a great way to, get another effect trigger off. All of these are soft ones per turn. So that is just nice to have. In some cases, I'm even thinking about like running a Stardust Dragon for this, but I have yet to find a space for. And then the one I've already talked a bit about, Power to Braver Dragon on special equips 3 differently named equips from deck or graveyard to himself. That being, the 3 we talked about earlier. And then is able to send an equip spell from himself to the graveyard to target a monster on the field and either swap its battle position or negate its effects until the end of the turn. A very powerful endboard piece, especially with the added bonuses from all the equips you can. Cards like Baron de Fleur and Chenging, I think, rarely need an introduction. Baron de Fleur just being incredibly powerful synchro 10. A pop a turn and an Omni once while it's on the field is very potent. And the deck with all the free 7s you run and free remote and does have very easy lines into it. Chenging is also great playing into a board. This guy's just great removal, a big idiot with good protection. And since the deck does have a couple ways to banish in engine, be it Smartphone, Odin, and even Redox, funnily enough, you do get the removal effect off rather easily, making still a very welcome addition to the extra deck. For the Link lineup, fairly standard stuff, a Link Rebo just to get level 1s off the board, mainly. The battle protection is cute in some cases, but mainly doesn't get 1s off the board into the graveyard for stuff like a Repair Unit, a Telephone, or like Banish. Remoten. IP Masquerena, another good endboard piece to have. The deck does very easily generate a lot of Link material, and turning, 2 of those into an IP Masquerena for a potential unicorn, maybe soon SP play is just kind of handy. Also is here as like a low commitment option, because I've been often just throwing a Nightmare Phoenix against the wall turn 1 and wasting a spot removal option like that didn't always feel great. So this is kind of like a less impactful option. The nice part about her effect in Master Duel specifically is that because everyone's playing Maxi, chances are high you'll have a target for this, which is kind of handy. And the floating can also be kind of cute because it's literally able to add like almost anything, even reactant. Unicorn, just a great removal piece you can make off of Masquerena, technically goes very well into an access code talker if you really need a big idiot to just close out games. Really the sledgehammer of this toolbox, if you will. Apollosa, as mentioned earlier, the deck does generate a lot of link materials, so having an easy way to turn those into a lot of monster negates is quite welcome. And Underworld Goddess here is because I'm an absolutely huge fan of this card. This has replaced my religion, essentially. But it's also, I feel like, especially good on Master Duel if you have the space to just have a blanket out to like a big protected idiot your opponent might be making. But with all that out of the way, I think take a look at the replay. And here we are, loading into a game against something that I need to check the deck profile, but is, I think, very close to like Runic Stun. Opening a hand that is not necessarily great. Pitching a Gadget Hauler here for the 1-for-1 because I feel like we're not getting into like a really big grind game. So might as well turn that into a Southon, I think. Southon hits a Remoten, which I put promptly on the board, turning both into also going for a smartphone here, which I used to pick up another smartphone. I mainly just digging for a telephone at this point, or this, a Morphtronic converter, because this, of course, also is able to turn the smartphone into telephone. At this point, just using the telephone here to bring back Southon before committing also Link Rebo and telephone into an Apollosa. Southon here is able to definitely get a hit at least. The smartphone is stacked on top of the converter, which is very handy. Trying to add another card here. I find another converter for the follow-up, which is of course very nice. Taking the repair unit here, kind of setting up for a bit of a gamble, linking off the Southon before I activate the telephone effect, so I have at least a guaranteed hit, but also have another chance at getting a, body on the board. I do hit a telephone, which is rather lucky, and this time the telephone rolls higher than a 3. Which brings back the remote and sets me up for an Naturia Beast play through, using the Morphtronic earphone that I talked about earlier. This is just a very nice way to easily ladder into Naturia Beast and doesn't require you to run the very dated level 4 Morphtronics because we haven't gotten one of those with the new wave of support. Opponent goes for a fairly straightforward set 5 into the spot. I do take the gamble and put him on, like, if he has another back row, he has it. Make the unicorn at end of main, spin one of the back row, and I do not fuck around here. We make the access code talker immediately. Access code targets the unicorn, and we go access unicorn, pop the first back row, access banish also, pop the next back row, and then access code even banishes the Apollosa to pop another back row, funnily enough, a Quaking Mirror Force out of all things. Put a Remoten on the board here, making an Exile Synchro Stardust Dragon, which is something you can also usually easily make off of a Gadget Gamer line, because any other Morphtronic in hand with a Gadget Gamer, since you're searching the repair unit off of the Power 2 Dragon that you make, already puts the telephone you added off a Gamer back on the board, making Exile Stardust, and Exile Stardust bring back the telephone even braver. Bringing back the last telephone here in defenses you saw, using the Braver to put it back into attack, and then triggering Life Extreme to get rid of the last back row that line. But with all that out of the way, I think we'll, see each other again at the deck list, and I'll give you guys some closing thoughts. Well, this was, of course, just one of many lines, not even one that utilizes Gadget Gamer, as mentioned at the start. If you want to see more gameplay with this, if this deck has caught your attention, because it is an incredibly fun and very flexible combo deck in terms of extra deck options you have at your disposal, be it, a lot more link focus, be it, a lot more synchro focus. I'm kind of striking a balance of the two. I feel like you do have quite a lot of options for, just running whatever extra deck piece you kind of want to make. The deck really can take the extra deck, turn it into that very famous toolbox, and just reach into it when to do whatever it wants. Very weak to hand traps though, so hopefully your opponent doesn't open any of those like I did. Get quite lucky in that replay. Usually it won't go that smoothly, but between React and Fenris, you do have a couple of hand trap magnets, maybe able to get your opponent to discard an Ash Blossom earlier than they probably should if they knew what you were up to. Outside of that, incredibly fun deck. Favorite deck of all time, so not a whole lot to add here. Glad I could take this to Diamond at least. And if you want to see gameplay of that, as mentioned, I'll leave a video link probably down in the description below, and other stuff in the channel as well. So with that out of the way, I would like to hear your thoughts, of course, just as always. Let me know down below what you think of this deck profile, and if this maybe has sparked your interest in Morphtronics of Master Duel. But all that out of the way, I thank you guys very much for watching, And I'll be seeing you guys again, hopefully next time. But until then, goodbye.